Hi everybody, welcome to another Chats with Chaudhry. Today I'm at BPI Virtual Day 2. I know it seems a bit weird, but I actually am. And I'm talking to one of today's speakers, Tony Hitchcock, who's the Technical Director of Cobra Biologics, who's going to be speaking today on the development of a second generation PlasmidSelect Resin at 8:40 p.m. UK time. So if you're going to be there, make sure you check that out. So we're going to talk about that a bit more. Tony, how are you first of all?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for asking me to present as well.
Fantastic. Well, look, thank you for taking time out to talk to me. I know you've got a very busy day. So the last time we spoke was actually in February in Berlin when you were presenting at the Dispo manufacturing event for IQPC. A lot's changed since we met in February in Berlin, hasn't it?
It certainly has. I was due to fly out to the States shortly after that to present again at a BPI meeting at BPI West. Obviously, if everything's got cancelled, we've moved all online. So it's a very different world from what we left in Berlin, basically, I think.
Yeah,
so yes, it's all changed for everybody.
Now, before we start talking about your presentation, perhaps you tell people who are not familiar with Cobra Biologics, although you've been in the news quite a lot, but you can give people a quick overview of Cobra Biologics and actually your role within that.
Okay, so Cobra Biologics is a contract manufacturer for specialising in gene therapy products. We're actually now owned by Cognate Bioservices based in Memphis in the US. And Cobra has two sites, one here in the UK based on the Keele University campus, where we make virus and plasmid DNA. And then we have a second site at Mapforce in Sweden, just outside Sundsvall. And that specialises in technical proteins, but also increasingly that's expanding to take on plasmid DNA contracts. So we're moving very much into the gene therapy space as a contract manufacturer specialising in that area.
Right.
My role is actually, as technical director, is to work with collaboration. So I work with partners, industrial academic partners. I work with trying to bring in new technologies and support that kind of development, new platform processes within the company. And I also, through my technical expertise or experience, I guess, support the commercial development of trying to bring new customers and projects into the business as well.
Right. Well, that brings me quite nicely on to my next question, actually, because obviously in August, the big news was that Cobra Biologics had signed a supply agreement with AstraZeneca to provide the GMP manufacturing of their COVID-19 vaccine candidate, all being well. So that must have been pretty exciting, but also quite stressful for you to get that finalized.
I must admit, I've only had a limited role in that. So we actually started that collaboration with the University of Oxford back in March. So it's been a huge effort and achievement, especially from the manufacturing, the operations, QA group. So it's involved not only bringing in that process, bringing in a lot of new equipment. We've actually brought a new two virus streams online during that period. So it's been a massive achievement and effort over the last 6 months for everybody involved in the Keele site. We're also involved in a number of other COVID projects as well, including one in Mapforce. So yes, it's been a huge challenge over the last 6 months, I guess, for the business, but it's a great opportunity for us to contribute and help out in, as we were discussing before we started, a massive need for a vaccine. So I think it's a huge challenge for the industry, and hopefully we're responding to that.
Yeah, well, obviously, I'm sure everyone's best wishes are with you and the whole team and the Oxford team in developing that vaccine, all the other vaccines which are out there. I mean, and that leads on to another question, actually, because obviously there's a lot of different vaccines being developed at the moment all over the globe. I mean, how do you think the pharma industry has reacted to the whole situation? Because it is quite disparate the way that things are working. Every country's doing their own thing. So from your perspective, how do you think things have developed and how the industry's reacted to the situation?
On the whole, I think the industry's acted very positively. I think it's a difficult situation they find themselves in. The vaccines is kind of a smaller standalone part of a lot of businesses. It is not used to these kind of developing anything like this. It's completely unique. They clearly have platforms for flu vaccines, which they have responded to successfully over the years. So it's a very difficult scenario for them. It's obviously a lot more political than they've ever been involved in as well. So
Yes, I know.
on the whole, I think the industry's acted in a very positive manner, and I think they've tried to operate with a level of trying to maintain integrity. And I think the key thing is that people have trust and confidence in any vaccines that we develop in terms of their safety and their efficacy. And I think that's a key thing for the industry to achieve, rather than be pulled around by other pressures because we can't have a vaccine going out in which people don't have confidence in its efficacy and safety. That would be extremely detrimental going forward.
100%, I agree with you 100% on that. Well said. So let's talk about your presentation today at BPI. So why is the development of second generation PlasmidSelect Resin important in the first place? And why should people come and listen to you, Tony?
Well, hopefully, so it's basically the PlasmidSelect resin is a resin that GE, now Cytiva, have developed, I guess, over 10 years ago. And Cobra adopted it for the use of making our plasmid products. So its basic function is separating different forms of plasmid out to give a high quality supercoiled plasmid levels. The reason we looked at developing a new resin or went and talked to Cytiva about that is that as the demand for plasmid is growing, as the gene therapy market's growing, and also we are seeing demand for plasmid-based COVID vaccines, is there a need to scale that process up? And the resin base they had that originally on was predominantly an analytical-based high-resolution resin.
Right.
But it was unsuitable for making larger scale production batches. And we wanted to have something that was scalable and allow us to significantly increase our production scales. So we've had a number of conversations as part of my role to do that with Cytiva about setting up and developing a new resin with them, modifying what we've got rather than completely reinventing. So it was a very successful collaboration. We did a lot of practical inputs, supplied all the source materials. They obviously did the resin production and also the scale up of that production system and the qualification to allow them to manufacture that for use in clinical production processes. So I guess it's the story of how and challenges developing a new resin, and which I think is quite intimidating to a lot of people, but actually it is something that's achievable with the right partners. So I think it's kind of more about that and the collaboration side of it and how we work together. So I think that's hopefully comes over in the presentation.
Well, I'm sure I've heard you speak, and you're very good, so I'm sure people will enjoy it. And I have to say, collaboration is obviously the key word, I think, which is coming out again and again, certainly over the last 6 to 9 months, where everyone is having to work closer together, and you're seeing competitors now working closer together as well to find solutions. I think that is the sort of buzzword in the whole industry, isn't it? It's collaboration.
I think so. We've got a number of challenges coming towards us, and I think especially we're looking at very high complex medicines now, especially in areas like gene therapy, and the notion of someone trying to take all that on themselves is probably not realistic. We need to have partners we can work with to develop those technical areas rather than trying to do everything yourself and in-house. It's not achievable as a project. The challenges are too complex for someone to try and take on their own. So we need to find those kind of ways of working where we identify partners with specialist knowledge in certain areas and share the success rather than have a miserable failure on our own, might be a way of putting it. But I think that that's reality, is that it's better have sort of 20% of something that works rather than 100% of something that doesn't work.
I agree 100%. So that's my philosophy in life. I think, yeah, you have to do that. Yeah.
So I think you have to be honest and realistic about what you can and cannot achieve, and then find the best route forward to achieving shared goals with partners.
Fantastic. Look, for those who don't know, I actually only asked Tony about 2 hours ago to do this interview. So it's all been very short notice. So he's been kind enough to fit me in his time schedule to do this. So I'm not going to take any more of your time, Tony. I appreciate you taking the time out. It's been really interesting, actually. Thank you very much for giving a bit of background in terms of the AstraZeneca collaboration as well, and also the presentation. As Tony said, he's presenting today. It's this evening. So if you're attending the event, please click on the show website and you'll be able to find details on the presentation. If you can't make it, I'll put a link to Cobra Biologics as well, so you can find out more about what they do, and there'll be a link there as well. Or if you've got any questions for Tony, I'm sure he'll be happy to answer. Just stick them in the comments box below the video, and I'm sure he'll be happy to. So all that's left for me to say is, Tony, thank you very much for your time, mate. I much appreciate it.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you.
And thank you all for watching. Until next time, as always, stay well and stay safe. Take care. Bye-bye.